Coming up on today's episode of DLLS Mavs, who are the Mavericks' biggest X factors this season? We continue our season player previews, and we play a little buy or sell, all on today's episode of DLLS Mavs. Here we go. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks insider Tim Cato, Mavericks analyst Bobby Carella, and of course, you can find him at The Stein Line, our national and Mavericks NBA insider, Marc Stein. We are DLLS Mavs. You can find me on X at Kevin Gray Sports, at Tim_Cato, at Bobby Carella. Appreciate you joining us here on DLLS Sports. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports on YouTube as well. So much to get to on today's episode, including a rejuvenated Klay Thompson, and we play a little Mavericks buy or sell a little bit later on in the show. But before we get to any of that, gentlemen, happy Tuesday. How we doing?
It's a great Tuesday.
It's a great Tuesday.
Yeah.
You feeling it? You feeling it today?
I'm
Tuesday.
ready to rock. Let's do it.
Bobby, what's going on, man?
Sun is shining. It's Katya Villalba's birthday.
Happy birthday,
Kit Kat.
Katya.
And it's a big party all day in the studio.
How do we always get the lounge? What strings do we pull to always get the fancy
The nice,
seats?
comfy lounge.
Whenever you were on the show, we were always, or whenever you were remote, we were always in there.
I thought I was in there once, though. The first time.
Yeah, you've been
first
in
show
the,
was
in
over
the
in
podcast
there, but
studio.
yeah.
Yeah. Which one do you like better? You like the podcast studio or the lounge studio a little bit better?
I think I like the lounge better.
You like the lounge better? Okay. I'm personally a podcast studio guy myself, but you know.
Why is that?
I feel like I get to set up my stuff. You know, I'm real kind of systematic with like my laptop, my my iPad. I
You
feel
got
like
so many devices.
I know. I
For
see
those who are
Apple,
just, for those who are
you know,
just
product.
listening, Kevin, you got a laptop.
I do.
You're always working the phone, and you have an
try
iPad.
to be like Stein, you know
got
what I
the
mean?
whole situation.
I got 3 right here.
Yeah, you do have. You got the laptop, the phone, and you got 2 phones and a laptop.
Gotta have 2 phones. 2 phones, 2 separate services.
Yeah.
What if there's an outage?
So okay, so you have 2
true.
separate phones just in case one outage goes and you.
Are they both just full of secrets?
Yes.
Which one has more secrets?
Secrets that you will never. I'm not telling you which phone has more secrets.
It's probably the one he doesn't text me with. That's my guess.
Oh, wow.
Now, okay, I'm gonna let this one out. I've been texted from both the Stein's phones. So
Wow.
I have. So he knows he's texting me from both of his
Dude,
phones.
that is a legit flex.
I feel like I'm real
People
privileged in
have
it.
told me that they don't know which phone they're texting to me. I don't know why that is.
They don't have
I-
it like labeled in their phone. Like,
I guess I don't know. Sometimes last week, an agent texted me and said, "Is this still your number?" On one of the phones, I said yes. And then they called me, but they called the other number.
And you picked up the phone.
Yeah,
That's pretty
well, I
funny.
had them. I knew who it was, but it's
Yeah.
like I don't understand why would your text go to the first phone, but your call go to the second phone. I can't explain that.
One of the things I can't wait for.
But I can't tell you who that is because if I do, then I have to kill you.
Yeah.
Oh my
well,
God.
We don't
I
want that
believe
to
you.
happen. Thanks, Mark.
I believe you.
Right.
Why do you have me sitting
Not
next
you,
to
not
him?
you, not
Okay,
you.
okay.
Kato.
Oh wow. Okay, of course, of course. One of the things I am like most excited for, like, is during the trade deadline when we do these shows, and like Mark is constantly on both of his phones and his laptop, waiting to see what kind of.
Well,
news
I might have to be checking in remote from my dungeon on those. Like I don't know that I can do that from like.
We
this
want you
seat.
breaking live news like on the show.
Well, I can
like,
do that, but I might have to be hidden in my secret.
Your
my
secret lair.
It's
exactly.
It's called the Power Rankings Dungeon. It's
Ooh,
an
okay.
old.
Oh, wow.
I don't do Power Rankings anymore, but that's what it's called. It's
Okay.
It's an old name.
Well, looking forward to that.
Speaking of power rankings, Tim, hop to it.
Power
oh
ranking.
wow, are you giving him work on the middle of the show right
You
now?
guys are gonna do Power Rankings?
Maybe
Tim
we
is going
will.
to do power rankings.
Looking
Maybe we
forward to
will.
that.
You
Make
can become
sure
a diehard and find out.
Yeah, there you go. alldlls.com/diehard to get Tim's power.
You guys are
rankings.
trying to run my Substack off the road. Today I came out with my Eastern Conference 1 to 15, but now you guys are.
Well, we're only doing
You guys are
West.
usurping me with your West.
We're only doing West today. So if you want Eastern Conference power rankings, head to Substack.
And then like tiers. Tim's got tiers coming out at some point, right?
That's
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Tim's working hard.
I proposed Western Conference tiers as a topic for this show. That got stomped in the
Hey,
chat
now,
room.
Yeah, why didn't we
And then
just get
Cato,
stomped
and then,
out,
and then,
man. You make it sound-
and then Cato's like, I'm writing this for the diehards. So he X'd me out of the conversation.
He took
and
your
decided
topic.
to do his own. Okay, I see how it is.
Look, we're all one big happy family though here at DLLS.
That's right.
Mavs.
There's no tears on set.
No crying here on DLLS Mavs. So much to get to on today's episode.
S tier.
A little bit later on in the show, a little Mavericks buy or sell. I'm going to give some statements. And we're going to either buy or sell them. But our first topic of conversation today, gentlemen, Mavericks' biggest X factors. We are just weeks away from training camp in Las Vegas. The Mavericks are getting ready to defend their Western Conference championship or go after it once again. If you ask Joe Mazzulla, he might have something else to say about it. We'll talk about that at some other point. But who are the Mavericks' biggest X factors going into this upcoming season? Is it Klay Thompson, Dereck Lively, maybe someone else? Who we're considering as our biggest X factors this upcoming year?
Give me Quentin Grimes.
Ooh,
Here's a
that's
player
one that-
who
okay.
could be a enormously important and influential part of the rotation, or he could not play that much. I think that the Mavericks are expecting him certainly to be a key part of the rotation. But yeah, we got to see how that goes. But if you have another shooter, like adding Klay, he's going to take 10 threes every game, and you know what you're getting from Klay, in my opinion. I think adding another volume shooter who can guard and guard down, that thing we keep talking about how the starting lineup is a little bit light when you look at who's going to guard the quick jitterbug point guards. Grimes maybe is somebody who can do that. That's why he's the perfect X factor for me, because it's just like you really don't know until the season gets going what it's going to look like, but you can see how he would very easily fit in.
I think for me, it wouldn't be a starter. Klay and Lively, their roles are gonna be too prominent. I would lean towards someone like a Grimes, a Najee Marshall. It might just be something. It might be a concept like shooting. This team really wanted to improve its shooting in the offseason. Will we see it now? Will we see better shooting from 3-point range as this team designed? And I mean, I guess I'm listing 5 potential X factors, so I'm not really narrowing
As
it.
many as you like,
I'm
Mark.
not narrowing it down very well, but we've also talked about that balance between trying to get more shooting in the lineup, but what that will do to the defense. So there are numerous potential nominees.
I think normally you think of X factors as guys like bench players or who maybe don't get a lot of shots. I think Klay is going to get a lot of shots, but if you watch how the Mavs offense really stalled out and kind of flamed out in the finals last year because they just could not get anyone to make a dang jump shot, maybe Klay is like a turbocharged X factor. If he's 16, 17 points a game, that's really good. But if he's Klay effing Thompson, then that puts you from really good to like very extraordinarily
The ceiling
great.
gets raised a lot.
Yeah, the ceiling is the roof at that point. So,
Yeah.
it might be kind of like against the spirit of an X factor, but I think Klay is probably the single biggest ceiling raiser on the team on any given night, because he can become that dude that scores 40 on 5 dribbles.
Yeah.
And nobody else on the team can do that.
We'll get to a couple of X factors in the chat. I've seen one talking about health, another one talking about Luka being an X factor as well. We'll get to some of those more in just a second. But you mentioned Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson having a chance at a youth camp this weekend, sharing some words of wisdom with some basketball campers about not just how to approach the game, but also playing for the love and the joy of the game. Take a listen and watch what Klay got to say here.
Man, just don't let anybody take your joy. Y'all playing a crazy era where everybody got something to say. Your parents, coaches, internet trolls, all that. Just ignore all that. And remember why you play this game and stay present. Surrender the outcome. Like, the outcome really don't matter. You just work on your craft every day and focus on that. Focus on the little things. You're gonna get the most out of your ability, and you get to play basketball for a living. And there's really no better job in the world, because the real world is bullshit. So just enjoy this to the fullest, especially being young and healthy, and take pride in your game always. And like I said, don't let anyone take your joy. Remember why you play this game. It's for the love of the game. Not because you want to, get all the things that come with it, but for the love of the game, and I promise you, you'll make the most out of your ability.
So Klay talking about playing for the love and the joy of the game and approaching the game with that kind of mindset and attitude. And I think we may see a rejuvenated Klay Thompson this upcoming year. You're talking about what the ceiling could be for this team if Klay Thompson is somewhat of what he was as a 4-time NBA champion. Mark, not just about the player Klay Thompson, but also the person as well. You're getting a little bit more of a glimpse into who he is and what the Mavericks are going to be getting. What do we know more about in terms of not just the player, but the person when it comes to Klay Thompson?
He's one of my all-time favorites. He is definitely a unique character unto himself. He's very hard on himself. I think that's one of the reasons I probably am such a fan of his, because I'm the same way in my job. And it's funny, when you listen to that speech, that was ostensibly for the campers, but it almost sounded like Klay was reminding himself of those things because he was under so much scrutiny last season. But look, I haven't been around the first 3 years of the Warriors dynasty, what is recognized as the first 3 years of the dynasty, 14-15 season, 15-16 season, 16-17 season. I basically lived half the year in Oakland, so I was with that team a lot. It's been a long time. So it's been 7 years since I was really around him on a daily basis. In the last few seasons, I've only seen him a handful of times. But I mean, for me also, where I grew up in Orange County, about a half hour south of Disneyland, and that's where Klay was a high school star. So whenever I see him, to me, he is the OC GOAT. He is the greatest player from where I grew up. It's not even close in terms of his NBA achievements after high school. And he loves sports just like his dad. He is a sports nut. And one of my other favorite things, I'll be interested to see if he still does this in 2024. But in those days that I was around the Warriors a lot, Klay religiously read the newspaper.
Oh, wow.
At his locker.
That's old school.
At his locker.
Okay.
And so that is something that is
Is
going
he reading
to...
like the sports section or like
Yes.
the business section?
I mean,
too?
I think he reads all of it, but I mean, he always had a newspaper, which again, that was a long time ago. So I'll be curious if he can still pull that off in 2024. That's a nice effort. But anybody who reads the printed word, you win my fandom automatically.
I don't know. The printed words is kind of done. It's all about the YouTube live shows.
That's right, yeah, and podcast.
Or you can read the printed content at alldlls.com/diehard.
That's true. You can print out our articles. Mark, so you might not have seen him as much, but like from Mavs fans' perspective, like their lasting impression of Klay might be like 0 for 10, frustrated. He's coming off the bench. Like, do you think there's any truth to that sort of thing, or do you think that there is this sort of maybe revitalization of his love of the game, coming to a new place, new opportunity, new environment?
The thing I keep pointing to is he chose this destination.
Yeah.
He wanted to be a Maverick, and he identified this as even before free agency started. He was like, I want to get myself to Dallas. And so it's interesting to me, like that was what he saw as the best. I am a basketball romantic. I did not want to believe that we would ever see one of the trio, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. I never thought we'd see any of them in another jersey. So, going back to last season, I think if you really study it, the signs of discontent were there. But I personally just didn't want to accept them.
Yeah.
And I thought they're going to find a way to figure this out. They're going to re-sign Klay Thompson. No, he wanted the fresh start. He wanted to go somewhere new. And this is the place he chose. And, again, we saw him on yesterday's show hanging out with Dereck Lively. He's already immersed himself in the Mavs organization, and camp really hasn't even started yet. So, I think we'll be seeing more of him in coming days, and, camp is almost here. And yeah, to me, it is one of the most interesting storylines of this coming season. Getting used to him in a different uniform, in a Mavs uniform, and seeing how significant his role will be as a Mav.
Coming up next here on DLLS Mavs, we'll continue our season player previews with Dante Exum. But before we get there, Bobby, talk to me a little bit about Empire Today.
Let's talk about one of Tim Cato's favorite things in the whole world. Floors.
Floors? Oh my God, I'm
At
so
Empire
excited.
Today, you get shop
his
at home
beautiful
convenience
eyes.
for all your flooring needs, the right product for
That's
your
the
needs,
women
quick
in my
and
life's
professional
favorite thing.
installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring, so of course they're going to have copycats, but don't believe any of those weirdos. Empire cannot be beaten on quality, service, and speed, so competitors advertise low quality junk to you, And Empire simply won't carry any of that. They promise the lowest prices because anyone who does that, or anyone who will promise you the lowest prices, is going to sell you stuff that they would never use themselves. But at Empire Today, just like Tim, they eat, sleep, and breathe flooring, all right? Tim is a floor guy. Empire Today, they're floor people too. They have a virtual floor designer. It's a great way to see how your new floors will look in any space, so you can shop for floors where you use your floors. Just snap a picture and instantly see how that new flooring will look in your room or in your studio here at the DLLS HQ. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners, all viewers can receive $350 off when they use promo code DLLS. Restrictions may apply. See empiretoday.com/DLLS for details. Again, promo code DLLS, and save yourself some cold, hard cash.
I love floors, but I don't love hiring. You know, not to say that I've really technically ever done it, but it sounds like an exhausting process. When you're hiring, it feels amazing to finally close out a job search. But what if you could get rid of that job search and just match? You can with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find a quality candidate fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites. In the minute I've been talking to you, 23 hires have already been made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. And so listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Appreciate you, Tim. Coming up here in 13 minutes, a little Mavericks buy or sell. We'll have a chance to talk some other Mavericks topics and whether we buy or sell them. But we continue right now with our season player previews. Dante Exum is up next on the list, a guy who's entering into the final year of his contract, making a little over $3 million and playing an important role, hopefully, for him this upcoming season. Bobby, talk to me a little bit more about Exum's last season player profile as we get ready for him.
Bobby needs to talk. I talked way too much in that last segment, so Bobby needs to speak here.
Dante Exum, 7.8 points per game, 2.9 assists per game, 2.7 rebounds per game. How about this, gentlemen? 49.1% from three last season. He's kind of on, like, he was playing overseas for a little bit in EuroLeague. This is maybe potentially his last chance contract, and he's entering into the final year of a 2-year deal. $3.15 million coming his way this season. In many ways, I feel like he kind of helped keep the Mavs season afloat whenever Kyrie went down in December after suffering a freak foot. And what was that, heel? What was his problem? Dwight landed on him, or something, and he missed like a month, and Exum stepped up in a big way, and then at the end of the year, he hit the three that buried Sacramento in that must-win game on the road, and then he hit the three to send it to overtime against Houston.
Dante's Inferno, I believe was
that
the
is
call.
right. That is a Mark Follow call.
But then that was kind of the last we heard of him. He sort of disappeared out of the playoff rotation, and so Tim, I'm really curious, like, what is his role going into this season? I thought he was this indispensable X factor for them, the Exum factor going into the playoffs, and then he kind of just vanished.
I kind of considered him, answering the X factor, in the first segment. I was wondering, I think him and Grimes are both. I think Dallas needs one of them to pop, and they need one of those guys to be rotation stalwarts. Maybe both of them. I think there's room for both of them if both are deserving of that. But just this archetype as a taller guard, a ball handler, Grimes and Exum, obviously they have different shooting abilities, but Exum to hit quite literally half his shots just about last season. And then that faded just a little bit. I still think that the player we saw in the regular season is truer to who I think Exum will be next season than the way he kind of fell out of the rotation in the postseason. But yeah, it's a big question.
It was such a feel-good thing too, really a career revitalization alongside a guy like Derek Jones, who was kind of a journeyman. Like it's really, I really like seeing guys go that route. Maybe you're picked high in the draft, or you're just this unheralded, kind of like unthought of guy who's flying under the radar, and you get one last chance, it feels like, and you capitalize on it. And he was, obviously very steady-handed on the court. You know, when Kyrie was down, they really needed his playmaking. They needed anyone on the roster that could just bring the ball up the floor without dribbling it off their leg.
Yeah.
You know, they ran into that issue time and time again in years prior, and Exum was really able to, you know, kind of just bring some decorum to the bench unit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't
some stability
have
there for
Yeah,
sure.
he doesn't
Yeah.
have like first step separation ability. He's not blinding quick. He's not going to like just beat people off the dribble over and over again. But just one more guy who can take a couple dribbles off a attacking a closeout and
Yeah, we're not asking for much here.
and then
be
just
trusted
and then-
to handle the basketball with
it's-
consistency.
Yeah, like he often was the guy triggering, a sequence where the defense is scrambling. And that's just really important. All the best, everybody loves ball movement. That has to start, with one guy getting past the 3-point line and kicking it out. And that's something he did really effectively, kind of often on the weak side, on the
He's
other side
like
of
a
the court from
connector.
Luka.
Yeah.
As a connector.
No, that's a great word for Dante Exum as a connector.
It's the new buzzword in the NBA.
Yeah.
Everybody loves talking about connectors.
I hear. I mean, we just can't stop talking about it either.
From Soul Child on the chat on Exum, 3-point consistency and his leadership. One of the things for Dante Exum for me is the confidence in taking those shots. I think we had conversations last year about there would be times where he would not be confident in taking those open 3-point shots. And there would be, ideas of his teammates, hey, encouraging him, hey, take those shots when they're there. We want you to take and make those shots. You use a couple examples, the biggest one being the shot that he had against Houston. If he is able to step into those shots with the kind of confidence and be, as Tim talked about, that connector, but also on the defensive end, providing that kind of ball pressure, there is opportunities for him to be able to crack that rotation. How important is it going to be for him, and Bobby, I'll start with you, for him to be able to show that he can get into this rotation that's going to be 10, 12 deep this year, knowing what kind of depth the Mavericks have going into this upcoming season?
Yeah, I mean, he has competition with Grimes.
Yeah.
And Grimes is not afraid to take those shots.
Sure.
And he's just as capable, maybe in a slightly different way defensively, as Exum. And so, if you're going to break the tie, it's going to go to who's more willing to take the jumper. The game that really stands out in my memory was early in the year against the Lakers. Kyrie's out, Mavs are at home. Exum hit 7 threes, including a couple huge ones in the fourth quarter. And I thought, okay, this is the thing that's going to, he's going to be the most confident guy in the world after this game. In his next 10 games before getting hurt, he averaged, as I pull up here on basketballreference.com, 2.5 3-point attempts per game, playing 28 minutes a game.
Yeah.
You have to take 3 or 4 or 5 or more playing alongside Luka, especially when Kyrie's not there. You cannot pass up open shots. Those are possession killers.
That was his best stretch of the season, though.
It was. He was really good with the ball in his hands.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't recall that stretch.
No,
I thought
he was great. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that he was bad, but I'm
Yeah.
saying a lion's share of his minutes will be playing alongside Luka or Kyrie. You have to take shots.
Yeah.
I thought he took. I thought during that stretch he took the shots he needed to, and I thought when he was less effective at other parts of the years, he was not taking the shots when they came to
couple
him.
real important variables with Exum's season for this coming up season. The thing you mentioned, I mean, this team is so deep. Again, for anyone who is not in the starting lineup, we have to see how their role is established because Jason Kidd and the Mavericks have so many choices, especially in the backcourt. So I don't know.
And he's willing to experiment with those lineups too.
I mean, I think the fact that Exum is a two-way player certainly helps him, but this probably is not being talked about enough. He sustained a broken index finger in an exhibition game with Australia before the Olympics. It was an issue during the Olympics. We don't have a firm update on that, but it would not surprise me if he isn't a full go when camp starts. I think we're going to get clarity on that in coming days, obviously, because what's today, the 10th, so we're still 20 days away from media day.
Yeah.
But we haven't heard a firm update yet on Exum's health status, so we'll have to see. Maybe he is ready to go when camp starts, but I think that's still an unanswered question about what his availability will actually be when training camp practices start on October 1st.
That's obviously been an issue for him throughout his career too, just injury
Health,
availability.
yeah.
He managed to avoid too many bumps and bruises last year. He played a ton of games. Had a stretch from early January to late February where he missed a lot of time, but for the most part he was available, and that is the most important ability, is availability.
Yeah, and in the playoffs there were times I think when the moment looked a little too large, And that surprised me because the detour to Europe, playing for Partizan Belgrade, there is not a more raucous, rabid fan atmosphere than playing for Partizan Belgrade or playing in a derby match against Crvena Zvezda. Playing in those European atmospheres.
Yeah.
After you do that, obviously the NBA Finals is the grandest stage in club basketball in the world, but from a pure atmosphere standpoint, I can't imagine playing in a tougher setting than playing in some of those EuroLeague games. So I expect that. I thought that was going to be something that would really help Exum in his return to the NBA, because I'm telling you, those crowd scenes are.
When he was money in the fourth quarter, he
Yeah.
was good. It's just this weird. A lot of it, I think, is
for him it's more.
confidence.
I think he's a confidence guy. I think he rides high or low based on his confidence. So you brought up the game he hit 7 threes against the Lakers. That was about 21 games into the season. For the first 20 games, Dante Exum was taking 1.5 threes a game and shooting 26%.
I wish I could read what. I gotta get some eyes.
Charlie has you ready.
It's a lot of maps.
He
It's a lot of
predicted
Louis
you
love.
on the Belgrade.
I didn't. I see Charlie Saturday is in there. My guy, again, Bucks fan who's dialed into the Daily Mavs show, but I can't quite.
He had you on the Belgrade note when it came to Dante Exum and playing in those atmospheres. He also mentioned the idea that Australia was up by 24 against Serbia in the Olympics, but obviously we know what Serbia was able to do and come back and win that game.
And one more chat question from the old man here. So that Patrick from Sweden, he's actually in Sweden as part of our show. Is
Patrick
that it?
Engineer, yeah.
Yeah.
Big
Nice.
Mavs fan.
Nice.
Big
Mavs
Mavs fan.
Long-time Twitter follower.
Twitter
seeing
legend.
it.
Yes,
Love
for
seeing it.
sure.
Anyway, so it felt like in that Lakers game, he was so open. It was just like he had no choice but to shoot it. And then that just gave him confidence. He finished the year shooting 56% on threes. 56% over a 35-game sample. That's the reason that he's a 50% three-point shooter, even though he started the year, kind of poorly. And so I think just getting him into a situation and, a consistent role in the rotation and letting him build that confidence and just keep it rolling, I think is important for him. One other thing I wanted to mention about him is I just really enjoyed the way that he finishes the, plays. Like his layup package, for lack of a better, it's just kind of unique and interesting. It's a lot of high arcing teardrop style finger rolls. It's a lot of really soft off the high off the glass.
Sounds like a DLLS written feature in the works.
Oh, more work for Tim, it sounds like.
I actually would like to talk to him about that. That would be a fun one to do. Kind of catalog some of the ways that he finishes the basket. But you guys have seen this, right?
Yeah, no, very creative.
Yeah, a lot of creative stuff.
Like
a lot
finesse and not in an insulting way.
Yeah, very
really good English.
Yeah, very weirdly. I mean, maybe it's like the colonial, Australia stuff. So there's still some English.
But then he did pop off with a couple dunks out of nowhere too.
And that's the other thing I liked. I was gonna say that. He is a finesse layup finisher who can yam on you every once in a while. I mean, he had more dunks with the Mavericks, even playing 50-something games, in all but one of his seasons. I believe it was 16. I just had this up. I think it was 16 dunks last season for the Mavericks. His career high had been 20. A lot of that just speaks to the role that he was playing, that he was, not the lead initiator, that a lot of times he was attacking closeouts, and all of a sudden found himself at the rim. And, Luka creates those advantages. Kyrie creates those advantages. So for, Exum to be a guy who can take advantage of that, I would like, I think it's good for Dallas if he can, resume that role.
Big season coming up for Dante Exum in the final year of his contract. We will see how he'll be able to crack the rotation among a loaded lineup for this Mavericks team this upcoming season. We'll continue our season player previews as the rest of the week goes on. Coming up here in just a moment, we're going to play a little game I like to call Mavericks Buy or Sell. But before we get there, I want to talk to you about Rugged Road a little bit. Go to RuggedRoadOutdoors.com and use code DLLS for 10% off. Rugged Road is dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best. Our products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest conditions, whether you're on land or water. Rugged Road is geared to built to accompany you on every adventure. In fact, I got a Rugged Road cooler sitting right here next to me. Even though you can't see it, you might be able to hear me tapping on it. They have one of the most unique features on the Rugged Road coolers is their ability to always float upright, and you will never, ever lose a drink. So Bobby won't have to worry about spilling his drink all over the place. Right, Bobby?
I'm a very careful consumer.
Of course you are.
He's losing sunglasses. He's spilling drinks.
But he won't lose his drink, though, with Rugged Road. That's for sure.
He has to get his flooring replaced because
That's
he
right.
misplaced it.
Why
All
do you
kinds
get
of
the
stuff.
Rugged Road? Why is it on your it's always on your end of the road?
Because they like me so much, Mark. They wanted me to show off the product. As you can see on the screen
Big
right
cooler
there.
guy.
Big cooler guy. Big cooler guy.
Yeah.
Perfect for a variety of outdoor activities from fishing, tubing, to camping and tailgating. These coolers are designed to meet the needs of every outdoor or sports enthusiast. So gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. Reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use code DLLS for 10% off today.
I like that the Rugged Road cooler matches your blue shirt, by the way.
I know.
Your blue
Just-
shirt's been
I'm
getting a
just
lot of love in the
coordinated
chat.
all over the place
And it's
today.
important. It's
You're
important.
welcome.
So y'all know if you're watching on YouTube Live, if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, wherever you get your pods, you know that we're doing things 5 days a week here at DLLS on this show and on all of our other shows. But what you might not have known is we got pre and post game coverage this season too.
Woo!
Okay, so we had our first Cowboys post game show this weekend, and it was popping off.
Lit.
It was
So
incredible.
good.
There was more than 3,000 people tuned in celebrating the Cowboys' stomping of the Cleveland Browns.
Shout out to Voch Lombardi.
We're going to be doing the same exact thing here on the Mavs show, and Stars doing the same thing. Rangers doing post-game show after the last game of every series over in baseball. So tune in 30 minutes before tip-off. We got you covered with pregame here from the studio, and then also right after the final buzzer sounds, we're going to be bringing you post-game all season long, in addition to the premium written content on alldlls.com, in addition to the daily shows that we got coming to your podcast feed every single day of the week as well. And that includes weekend games. We're post-gaming it up.
Cooking
all
every
season
day.
long.
Can you believe our GM just walked in here off camera wearing a Chelsea strip? What is going on here?
I got to get you a Palace.
Jeez,
a
and I'm a
Palace
United
kit.
fan, so that really makes me upset.
I'm a
we
Crystal
have to talk
Palace
about that
guy.
Ben afterwards.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about you right now, off camera. We'll talk about that later.
We actually have we're actually paying a 4 more Mavs podcasters, but they're just on the second team off to the side.
Oh, that's right. That's
you know,
right. That's
so
right.
that's
We'll talk about them later.
we're
We'll
just
talk about
throwing money around over here.
So
Clearly.
just wanted to let you know about our post game plans. So for literally like the entire Mavs season, we got you covered pre, post, every day during the day. It's gonna be awesome. So make sure that you follow every single step in the way and hit that subscribe button. Thank you.
your favorite guys covering your favorite team, the Dallas Mavericks, every single day. Make sure you check out alldlls.com/diehard to become a diehard member today. Gentlemen, it's time to play a little game I like to call Mavericks Buy or Sell. You can play in the chat
Sell.
as well. Not selling anything yet, Tim. Just wait for the statement, please.
Buy.
You can play in the chat as well. I'm going to throw out a series of statements. These gentlemen are either going to buy or sell them. You can also respond in the chat as well. Make sure you're hitting the like button while you're watching us here as well. So, gentlemen, here we go. Little Mavericks buy or sell. Bobby, are you ready?
Yeah.
You sure?
I
You
need
good?
to start selling in real life here pretty soon.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm
Mark,
struggling.
look like you're ready.
Allegedly.
Okay. And Tim, we already answered a question that I haven't posed yet. But here we go. Buy or sell, gentlemen. The first one. Mavericks, the Dallas Mavericks will finish top 4 in the West this season. Buy or sell, the Mavericks will finish top 4 in the West this season.
buy that.
Tim Cato.
I'll buy it. They're going to be very good against bad teams, and I think clearly they're in a 3-team, if you want to include the Denver Nuggets, 4-team tier atop the Western Conference. I feel better about buying that they're going to finish top 4 than maybe even buying that they're going to win 50 games.
Ooh.
I think they'll win 50 games, but just in the sense that the West is so hard that there will be just the attrition of playing all these good teams that's going to result in some losses. Maybe there's a no team is way over 50 wins. Dallas will be top 4 though.
I don't like publicly feeding Tim Cato's ego, but I think I would also agree. There is.
You're buying,
I
okay.
think there is. I am buying.
Mm-hmm.
There is a pretty consensus top 4 in the West: Thunder, Mavericks, Nuggets, Timberwolves. Pick the order that you want, but the Mavs are in there, and I do think they are going to finish with they're going to have home court advantage in at least one round of the 2024-2025 playoffs.
Which is used for game ones because this team doesn't like to win game ones for some reason when it comes to the playoffs.
This is not financial advice, okay? But I'm pretty confidently buying that, but I am going to hedge against it just a little bit.
Oh,
because
no hedging, no riding the fence, Bobby. Are you going to buy it or sell it, damn it?
I'm covering myself, but I'm much more on the buy end for sure.
Okay, a lot of folks buying as well. Isaiah buying.
What would be the reason to sell? Or to hedge, to use financial terms.
Kyrie goes down 25, 30 games, it gets a whole lot tougher.
I got one just for you in just a second. Are you
right.
ready? You preempted me to answer that. Isaiah says buy. We also had a lot of folks saying buy as well. Patrick also says buy. A lot of consensus saying buy when it comes to the Mavericks finishing top 4 in the West. I will buy that as well. Here's the one for you, Bobby, since you brought it up. Buy or sell, gentlemen. Kyrie Irving will go 50, 40, 90 and play at least 65 games this year. Buy or sell Kyrie going 50, 40, 90 and playing at least 65 games this season, Bobby Carella.
I'll buy some calls on that and take a shot, but I'm feeling pretty confident about 50, 40, 90. I'm feeling much less confident about 65. But if the Dwight Powell freak accident thing doesn't happen last year, he probably plays 65. So like, I don't know. I'll take some Hail Marys on that.
Yeah, I would buy half of it. I think he can do the 50, 40, 90.
Okay.
He seems to be getting, with age, more precise as a shooting craftsman.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
So,
Getting better like a fine wine. Yes.
I think he can do the 50,
He's one
40,
of the
90.
all-time greatest shooters in the NBA.
Yeah, to him it is a craft. I mean, he shows up at a baseball o'clock time to go through his pregame warm-up hours before anybody else, hours before any of us show up, because the way God Shamgod, his Mavs assistant coach and who runs Kyrie through his pregame regimen, the way he described it to me was that Kyrie likes to see the ball touch every ounce of the glass on game night, hours before he actually plays the game, and that's what he does. I mean, he has an array of shots that that do somehow scrape every single part of the window and go in. So I wouldn't worry about that part of the equation. But is he going to be a 65-game player at this point in his
32
career?
years old this year.
It is a contract year for him.
And it is a contract year.
I think there's a little bit of motivation.
He played every playoff game. That's what you want. Like, you live with the 20-odd games he's going to miss in the regular season if you can have him full speed in the playoffs.
I could see a scenario where if he's kind of so his whole thing recently is like kind of a career redemption arc. And I could see a scenario if his stats are good enough later in the season that he does want to hit that 65 game mark.
He was an All-NBA
trying to make an All-NBA team.
He was absolutely
an
All-NBA caliber player
I could see now. I do think that he will probably most prioritize being healthy in the playoffs. That seems to be, something he has a good handle on. But I'm just saying there are reasons that he would maybe push himself to make sure he's on the court a little bit more often. Between the contract stuff, between the, last surge at being, nominated for stuff, at winning awards, at being recognized for how great of a player he's done 50, 40, 90 before. Like, we do know this, right?
Yeah.
In 2020-21 with the Nets, he was 50.6, 40.2, and 92.2. Now, in that season, he played 54 games. It was a shortened season, but I think you have to sell just because it's an and clause.
The
both
65
things
games
are
is the
possible.
one getting you,
Both things are possible. Maybe even a little bit likelier than not. Just the chances of both happening. If you make me buy or sell, I'm gonna have to go sell just based off the phrasing of the question.
Sure, we got folks. Natasha is hedging, so kind of like Bobby there. We got another one selling. We've got Luke saying sell, but Kyrie Irving playing around 60 games. A lot of folks selling on this particular one when it comes to Kyrie Irving. I'm going to go sell as well, just because, like Mark said, I would rather have Kyrie healthy for the playoffs. If it means missing a few games during the regular season to ensure that he's ready to go in the postseason, I'm okay with that. But the 50, 40, 90 definitely is well within reach for sure. Buy or sell, gentlemen. Let's go and turn our attention to Luka Doncic. Buy or sell Luka Doncic will win his second straight scoring title this upcoming season. Luka Doncic will win his second straight scoring title. Buy or sell, Marc Stein?
I'll buy, but honestly, I'm such a curmudgeon. The scoring title just doesn't mean that. I don't even think about it really. Okay, he won the scoring title, but it's is that a priority? Does it matter hugely? I mean, he could easily do it again. Is he going to chase it? I don't know that he's going to chase it.
I'm buying. I don't think Embiid's going to play.
Real conviction on that
Yeah,
one.
I don't know if Embiid is going to play enough. That's always a thing, but I mean,
What about Giannis? Think Giannis has a chance to catch him?
Yeah, no.
No?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's between him and Embiid. And
Okay.
a couple years ago, Embiid played enough and outscored Luka, and then last year he didn't. So I think it's a two-man race. Give me Luka.
Why no Giannis? Just because Dame's there?
Dame, yeah. I'm also very low on Milwaukee. I'm very.
we'll have to
I'm
get into
selling
that at
all
some
my
point.
Buck stock this year, and I'll eat my words later.
With
Don't
Charlie
worry.
Saturday in the chat room, you
I'm
said
sorry,
that out loud.
Charlie, stick around.
Sorry, Charlie, it's okay.
Charlie, if it makes you feel any better, one of my closest friends on the internet is a big Wolves fan. All right, and he and I have been tight since way before the Mavs and the Wolves played. So I'm good with friends from around the country. I'm just not so high on the Bucks.
A lot of folks selling on this particular one. What say you, Tim Cato? Buying or selling Luka winning his second straight scoring title?
I think I've talked myself into buying. I was going to sell on this. I think that, I think his scoring will fall just a touch. There's a lot of shooters. There's a lot of reasons. There's a good argument to make that he's going to lead the league in assists. And I just think naturally that will cause his scoring to
I'm
fall
calling
just
it.
a
I was
I was
little
say,
bit.
Bobby thinks Luka's going to lead the league in scoring and assists this
Would you
upcoming
be
year.
you're
impressed
right.
if he did Tiny Nate Archibald stuff?
What lead in points and
and
assists? I mean, anything that makes us mention Tiny Archibald makes me happy.
All right, let's go. Come on, Luka, do it for Stein.
But yeah, he was just 3.5 points per game more than Giannis, who was second. I agree that Embiid's going to be managed probably to the extent that he's not eligible for the award. I think that's the likeliest scenario. Having that much of a lead on Giannis, he's going to win it again.
It's a lot of points.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy that as well because I think last year he shot nearly 39% from three, which was a career high for him. If he stays anywhere near that, he's going to be averaging 32, 33 points
Before
a
you
game.
ask, can I tell my Tiny Archibald sob story? Do we have time for that?
We want to
We
save
do
it
it
for the
next
next segment?
segment?
Yeah, we can save it for the next segment.
Sure.
Yeah, let's
for
bring it up
sure.
then.
I'm looking forward to that.
That
one,
is a good tease.
That's a great
That's a
tease,
good
actually.
tease.
Last one, buy or sell here. We're going to turn our attention real quick to Klay Thompson, who we talked about a little bit earlier. Buy or sell, gentlemen. Klay Thompson will average 20 points per game this season for the Mavericks. Buy or sell, Klay Thompson averaging 20 points per game this season.
Easy sell for me.
Ooh,
I think
okay.
18, 19 is more what I'm expecting. 16, 17, 18. It'll be between 16 and 18, let's say that.
Okay.
I would say confident sell. He scored 31 games last year out of the 70, however many he played. So not quite half. I don't think he's going to play enough minutes.
Yeah. And it's not like Dallas didn't go get him to be a 20-point scorer.
It's
on
a
this
sell
team.
for me because I don't think they're asking him to score 20 points
Yeah.
a game.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of capable scorers on this team, and so the shots, the minutes, the wealth has to be spread among many people.
Can I do a new one?
Sure.
Unscripted one. Will the player with will the non-Luka Mav with the highest scoring game this year be Klay Thompson? Would you buy or sell that?
Sell. I'll go with Kyrie Irving.
No, that I'd buy.
You're saying,
the highest
you're saying
scoring
Clay
game-
will just have one night where he makes
I bet
12 threes.
goes
I
like
bet, I bet
45
Clay, I
in a
bet Clay
night.
could go for 50. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he
On how many
scored 40 a
dribbles?
couple times last year.
Not many.
Less than Luka does in one possession.
That's a lot fewer. That's a lot
Yeah,
fewer.
I'll buy that.
I bet
Yeah.
Clay's got some 40 pieces coming,
Yeah.
and maybe even
Okay.
50. If he gets really hot against there are teams like Denver, for example, they just double Luka. That's just what they do.
And
If you're going up against a team that game script is double team Luka, Klay is going to go off if he's feeling
And it
hot.
feels a little bit like Kyrie is in his, second half of Dirk career era mode. I'm not saying this well, but he is just a consistent, 20 to 30 points type guy.
He might get
or-
you a 40 piece every
You
now
know,
and then.
but yeah,
he did
he's-
last. He got 44 or whatever that one game.
Yeah, he had I think one game that he popped off a little bit, but he's so consistent with his scoring. It does feel likelier that there'll probably be a Klay game, whereas Kyrie's just gonna put up a lot of 36-point nights.
That's a little bit of buying or selling here on DLLS Mavs. Appreciate y'all playing in the chat as well. Continue to respond to some of those as you listen to the show afterwards and on the podcast as well. Coming up in just a moment, story time with the Stein line just a little bit. And also, who will be the best NBA player in the next 5 years? That's how we'll close out our show today. But before we get there, Bobby, talk to me about becoming a diehard member here at DLLS Sports.
Yeah, shout out to some of our most recent signups today and yesterday. Shout out Nick, shout out Colin, shout out John, shout out Cliff.
John.
They all signed up to become a diehard within the last 24 hours to read Tim's soon-to-be published certainly article about the Western Conference evaluating some of the Mavs competition and route to the finals.
The meeting's afterward, Bobby. Don't talk about that right now.
Oh,
The
okay.
meeting's
Sorry.
afterwards.
I thought we were on commercial break. So I thought we could talk about this.
Yep.
Yeah. So when you become a diehard, you get access to the entire site, all the premium content, not only covering the Mavs, but also what Jeff Wilson has going on with the Rangers, what Clarence Hill and Joe Hoyt. They're breaking news for the Cowboys. It seems like every day right now. They're setting the bar awfully high. And then with Sam Nessler's coverage of the Stars. So, and we've got more sports coming, more college teams covering.
And the card. I want the card. I still don't have my card.
You get
Mark
a physical
wants his
card.
physical diehard card.
And you
yes.
get a free dang shirt. How about that? So it's less than $7 a month to become a diehard. And when you sign up, you get the shirt, which makes it less than $4 a month to become a diehard because the shirt is almost half of the value. So go ahead and do that. You can support us. You can help do what we do, and everything that we do here at DLLS, we're doing for you, the viewer, you, the listener, you, the reader. However you like to consume your sports content, we got you covered here, all in one convenient place. DLLS on alldlls.com/diehards, where you can go to become a diehard right stinking now.
A lot of cool
I'm
merchandise, Discord only, member only Discord as well. We got a lot of cool stuff. alldlls.com/diehard. Appreciate you, Bobby.
I appreciate you, Kevin.
I love you, Bobby. I love you, really do. Coming up, we're going to have a little story time with Steinlein. But before we get out here today, who are going to be the best players in the NBA in the next 5 years? Let us know in the chat who you think will be the best NBA player in the next 5 years. Is Luka, Wemby, whoever falls in the conversation, throw it in the chat. And also make sure you're hitting that like button as well. But we were talking about Luka potentially, leading the league in scoring and assists, and a great day to bring up Nate Tiny Archibald. And of course, we got a little story time with our resident storyteller, Marc Stein.
Yeah, no, just, what Bobby's referencing was the amazing season 72-73, I think it was, that Tiny Archibald led the league in both scoring and assists for the old Kansas City Kings long before they were
It's my hometown. Shout out to Kansas City.
Really?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri.
So I hope at some point we do see you in some sort of Kings retro regalia.
I might have to break that out. I might have to do that, yeah.
Well, closer to the end of his career, my Buffalo Braves in their very last season, after the Braves had Moses Malone for 2 games and traded him away. They had Adrian Dantley as the Rookie of the Year, traded him away. They had Bob McAdoo in his MVP scoring champ prime. They would eventually send him away to the Knicks. But in the Braves' last season, last gasp, and I'm still living about 80 miles outside Buffalo, the Braves acquire Tiny Archibald to put him in the same backcourt with Randy Smith. It was going to be the fastest backcourt, sheer speed in NBA history. And in classic Braves fashion, what happens? Tiny Archibald sustains a torn Achilles in the Braves' final preseason game. Never plays a regular season game for the Braves. Ends up going to Boston in that thing we discussed about the franchise swap when the Braves and the Celtics ended up swapping rosters so the Celtics owner at the time, Irv Levin, could take over the Braves and move them to San Diego. And Tiny Archibald ended up going to Boston, winning a championship in Boston. And so Tiny Archibald never played a regular season game for my favorite NBA team. But to this day, on my desk, there is a signed Tiny Archibald Buffalo Braves basketball card. One of my all-time favorite players. So I was quite giddy that you brought him up.
One of the front office executives at the centerpiece of the Tiny Nate acquisition in Buffalo, of course, the great Norm Sanju, who after the Braves were essentially traded to the Celtics. I don't know. It's one of the most inexplicable things of all time.
It would not happen today. Let's
It
just
would
say.
not happen today, yeah. So the Braves then moved to San Diego to become the Clippers. Norm leaves the organization at that juncture, to quote Derek Harper, and then, of course, would meet a guy named Don Carter and some other folks very soon thereafter. And then now we have a show. Fast forward 45 years.
That's amazing. I'm thinking about those Buffalo Braves teams. That's the amount of talent that those teams had, and that the fact they couldn't sustain.
This is the 70s, so like you wouldn't necessarily do this today, but we could have had a front line of Dantley, McAdoo, and Moses Malone in the late 70s. And like I said, it is a long, sad story, but basically the Braves couldn't control their own dates in the Memorial Auditorium back in those days. College actually ruled the day back then. And so all these factors, and the Braves left and broke my heart. And, but yeah, I mean, that last season we could have had Tiny and Randy Smith in the backcourt. Would have been sick.
That team, their last season, they still almost made the playoffs.
No. Last season was terrible.
No, was it the year before?
They were still, 2 years before they were still like giving Boston a rough time in the playoffs, but the last season was rough. Terrible
Kinda fell apart with
team.
Nate.
Nobody was going to the games. They didn't a zillion trades, and then the attendance numbers were so bad that they were able to leave Buffalo and move, and that was it. And then we left Western New York as well. I like
You were sick of it at that point. Buffalo Braves trading everybody away.
I like to say it was in protest of the way that the Braves are mismanaged, but I don't think my parents were too concerned about what little Marc Stein was thinking about the Braves.
Mommy and Daddy, I want to leave. The Buffalo Braves have left. I want to get out of here.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark, we'll move. Those are some great players, by the way. Some great names. Boys and girls, do yourself a favor. Look up Bob McAdoo, Adrian Dantley, Moses Malone. Fantastic.
Future Mavs great. Adrian
Honestly, when Dirk came into the league, Bob McAdoo was really the big man comparison at the time. Now, Bob McAdoo didn't have a three-point line for his peak NBA days, and his range was not. His range was more mid-range. It didn't extend all the way out to where Dirk shot it from. But the best shooting big man in the NBA, almost universally, people would have said it. Before Dirk showed up, people would have said Bob McAdoo would have been the reflex answer.
Fantastic basketball player. Speaking of fantastic basketball players, as we end our show today, who will be the best player in the NBA in the next 5 years? I want you to throw it in the chat as well. Let me know and let us know who you think will be the best player in the NBA over the next 5 years. An amazing talent that we still have in this league. Obviously, Victor Wembanyama is on his way. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, of course, our very own Luka Doncic, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, 3 MVPs in the last 4 years. Who will be the best player in the NBA in the next 5 years?
You're trying to bait us into saying Wemby.
Am I?
Yes.
You can say whoever you want to say.
You don't have to try with me, Kevin. That was going to be my answer.
It could be Shea. It could be Wemby. It could be,
It could
somebody
be
else.
Luka.
Could be Luka.
It'll be
But
Wemby and Luka.
I think he was trying to trick us because I think he thinks it's Luka, but he was trying to trick us into saying Wemby.
What do you
What if
think?
it's
How about
Cooper
you answer?
Flag?
You
No,
answer
no,
that.
wait.
I actually
Could it be
was gonna
Cooper Flag?
I mean, I haven't seen enough of him, but man, everybody's raving about him. Like, I don't know if he's that level, but I mean,
So I've got some inside info. I think it might be Ace Bailey, who is projected
yeah,
by.
that's right.
So he's projected by a lot of people to be the number 2 pick in next year's draft. He's a tall wing, scoring wing, and I was just like, I don't know a lot about him. I know a little bit, so I Googled him. He has a Wikipedia page. Ooh. And the Wikipedia page says he was actually drafted first overall by the Pelicans over the summer.
Wait, what?
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that happening either, but this is an under-discussed NBA story. Wikipedia is saying it. They also say on February 16th, 2025, he broke the record for the most three-pointers in a game, hitting 16 of them in a game where he had 83 points. And so if that is what Wikipedia says, then I think there's a good chance that Ace Bailey is on his way to becoming...
if you're scoring 83 points as a rookie...
Yeah.
And playing in games that haven't even started yet? That's
Hey,
amazing.
Wait a minute. What was the date of that game?
February 16th, 2025.
Oh, thank God, because the Mavs play the Pelicans, but it's on February 21st. I could not.
Oh, wow.
That would be a tough post-game show.
That would be a really tough post-game show.
I'm just saying, like this is on Wikipedia. Like I wasn't even aware he was the first overall pick.
I didn't even know
83 in a game. I mean,
already
But
played
that's
games in the
indisputable.
kind of amazing.
That's indisputable.
That's really amazing.
I do think it's Wemby, though. He is going to be a pretty good scorer. scorer to a great scorer, but he is already to the point where every single defensive possession he is impacting what you're doing.
He's a monster.
Also,
he's literally
he's
like
literally
constant
the,
impact.
So how
on
good are
them.
the Spurs this year?
I'm lower on
play-in
the
team for
Spurs
me.
than you. I think.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be a play-in team, but I think by next year they could be.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the conference is too deep for them to be a playing team, but I think they're gonna like. It wouldn't surprise me if they flirt with 500.
Yeah, like I think around like the All-Star break, they're still going to be firmly in it. I think.
Chris Paul's health will be a huge factor here, but if Chris Paul can play 65-ish games at 39 now, is Chris Paul 39?
Yeah.
But if he can play 65-ish games, I think he will keep them organized and functional to the point. Like I said, I think they are going to flirt with 500. I think Harrison Barnes helps them as well.
I'm a big Devin Vassell fan. Big
good player.
Harrison
defender,
Barnes
yeah.
is a fantastic player to get you to 40 wins. I think they're going to win about 40 games.
Yeah, I think they're flirting
But it might be
with
a bit
500.
under that. You're right.
But again, the conference is so
Maybe it's
deep.
35, 38.
A lot of folks throwing their names into the chat. I think I saw one from Savannah who said John Morant would be the best player in the NBA in the next 5 years. That's a hot take right there.
Is that your burner, Kevin?
No, that's not my burner. Not at all. Also saw...
What about Omax?
No,
Has anyone said Omax?
Bobby,
Oh, okay.
not Omax. No, a lot of folks throwing in Luka. I saw an Anthony Edwards comment as well in terms of being the best player in the league in the next 5 years. But
By the way, just to defend myself, the Ace Bailey thing was a legitimate thing I stumbled upon. Someone apparently edited this into his Wikipedia article
It
today.
wasn't Tim.
It was not me, I swear.
Wait, with Luka,
I would have used proper
who's
formatting.
trolling
and
talking
stuff.
about Ben
Right, yeah.
Simmons?
But just like, how bizarre.
Stop it. Whoever that is. Joe
How
Mama, that might
bizarre
be
is that?
Ben. Relax, Ben. Stop doing that.
Luka will be interesting 5 years from now because, I mean, no matter what happens with Kyrie's contract negotiations and stuff, Kyrie, at the very least, will not be probably this level of playmaker and scorer.
I mean, he says
and
he's entering
really,
his prime right now, so you
I mean,
never know.
I hope that's true, but like 5 years from now, Klay might be out of the NBA. Kyrie might be out of the NBA, or there certainly will be different caliber players than they are now. So Luka is, unless the Mavs reinvent the thing around him, which maybe they will, or maybe they won't. But like, Luka will have to play differently 5 years from now. It'll be a different kind of team, and I'm really curious to see, how it all unfolds.
No votes for Shea? No votes for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander?
No, I think 34-year-old Giannis may still be. I think he'll still be very good.
That's ambitious.
I don't know if
ambitious.
that's best player in the league, though, at that point. At 34?
I mean, I think he's the best player in the league right now.
I don't
say it louder so the
disagree
folks
that
can hear you,
much.
Tim.
Yeah.
Say it louder so the folks can hear you.
I think there's at least a very strong case he's the best player in the league right now. And
That's a good take.
and at 34,
Charlie Saturday, we're buying back your loyalty, pal.
yeah.
See how we work around here?
So I mean, Wemby's the answer. Wemby remains the answer, but I think the top five is going to be something like Wemby, Luka, still Giannis,
Jokic.
Shea, Jokic probably. How old is
If
Jokic?
Jokic is still in the NBA.
Yeah,
Jokic, I think
I
he
was
turned
really
30 yet.
selfishly glad that I was able to be at Wemby's first game last season, and I'm doubly excited that we get the same opening night matchup. I kind of love that October 24th game. The Mavs and the Spurs are not starting until 3 nights into the regular season to kind of build up the drama. Wemby Lively 3. Is that Wemby Lively 3? Have they played more than twice? Did they play more than twice?
Wemby missed
We
one.
were supposed to have
I
it
think
one
Lively
time
might
in
have
the
missed
AAC,
one.
but
Yeah.
my man twisted his ankle right
Mavs
before
and
the game
Spurs should
started.
open the season every year. Just make it a thing. They should be the season opener every single year. Luka versus Wemby, what's better than that? What's better than that?
That rivalry over the next 10 years is going to be so fun to watch because, I mean, we're talking about Wemby already being one of the best players in the league over the next 5 years. Luka entering his prime. The Mavericks and Spurs over the next 5-7 years is going to be so much fun to watch.
It's going to be
those
awful
two
and awesome.
all the time.
You
for
said
sure.
over the next 10 years. I find it hard to believe that Luka would play past 35. So maybe
Wait
10
a
years
minute.
exactly.
Wait. Let's stop.
No, this is stuff he said.
You don't think he'll play past 35?
No, he says he doesn't want to. He's like he doesn't. He gets asked about Dirk. He gets asked about other people longevity. Throughout that, he's always been very clear that he doesn't see himself playing that long, that deep into his 30s.
What if they've won 8 or 9 straight titles? You think he's going to retire?
Yeah.
Wow.
If they win 8 or 9 straight championships, he's the best player
9
ever.
straight championships? You're the best
Not even
basketball
Ace
player to
Bailey
ever
could do
exist.
that. He couldn't even do that.
I don't know. I feel like you should just keep the streak going as long as you can.
Okay.
win as many as championships as you can. 8, 9 straight. That'd be fun.
And then whenever you lose one, just win the next year. Go out a winner.
And then go out a winner.
yeah.
After winning 8
It's
straight.
easy. I just did it.
Thanks, Bobby. You solved it all right there. Good job.
That's what
my
we do.
God.
Appreciate you joining us today on the show, and thank you for all your participation in the chat, letting us know who you believe the next player, the best player will be in the next 5 years as well. We'll continue our season player previews tomorrow at high noon. Luka Doncic is next on the list. We will be talking all things Luka Doncic on tomorrow's episode of DLLS Mavs. Again, you can find me on X at Kevin Gray Sports, at Tim_Cato, at Bobby Carella. You can always dial up the Stein line at the Stein line for our guy, Marc Stein. We have been DLLS Mavs. We'll talk to you tomorrow at noon here on DLLS Sports. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.